Good morning, and this is going to be the introduction to Microsoft PowerPoint, session 1 called the Foundations course. For those of you that are wanting to learn all about how to put together a presentation, this is the class. This is the basic introductory and what we call the Foundations course. My name is Michael Levy with the Summit, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the basics of Microsoft PowerPoint and what it starts out between themes and layouts. And we're going to get into all of that today. But first, we just have a few little housekeeping procedures that we'll need to do. For Zoom etiquette, for everyone to hear, make sure you stay muted during the presentation. This presentation will be recorded for training purposes and for the future use to the public. Please jot down any of your questions and we will go over at the conclusion of the training. When we get to the Q&A session of the training, that is the conclusion of the training. Okay, let's begin. So today's overview, like I mentioned, we're going to discover a little bit about the themes, the layouts, and more. We're going to talk a little bit more about, and we're also going to showcase some of those ribbons. We've talked about those in some of the Microsoft Word and Excel series, and they are very similar in PowerPoint as well, but they also have a couple different meanings. So we're going to show you that today. And then we'll do a quick overview of the layouts and how there's lots of different options you can use in layouts. We'll do also a live version of Microsoft PowerPoint so we can go into it further. But that will be what we'll talk about today. So let's start out by discovering what are themes, layouts, and some of these other things. So we talk about themes, and themes in this case, and we saw this a little bit in Microsoft Word. Again, it's a predefined set of colors, fonts, and visual effects that you can apply to your slides. As you can see here at the bottom, these are what you call themes, and they do come up whenever you start up on PowerPoint. You can then take those and you can use them, for your presentations. And there's also way more than those that you have. You have plenty online as well as inside the program. But when you do that, you can unify and make it a professional look. You can then use that theme to put together a presentation and help you really convey your message, which really is nice. So themes you can put all together depending on what style you want to go. And then you've got layouts. And layouts is going to be one of those where you can create the format, position it, place boxes or whatever the content. Like you see on this picture right here on the left, and which we'll see in the live version momentarily. You can then take these layouts and you can maneuver these into whatever part of the page you want. And we'll have a little later, we will get to see a sample layout, and then I will show it. I'll do a demonstration as well. But they come with preset placeholders, which then allow you to, whether you want to add a picture or you want to add a video, or you can put in tables, charts, even some of these graphics that you'll see. So a lot of those things are very, very important when it comes to how you want to format. And we talked about formatting Word in one way. PowerPoint uses it in a different way, and these layouts allow you to put your slide together in a lot of different ways. So again, that's the difference between themes and layouts. The theme again is the overall look, the style, and what it's going to convey. The layout is how you want to format the text and where you put that on that slide. So just want to share the difference between those two because they work hand in hand. And then you've got sections, and this is just a real brief thing I will talk about. If you put together a presentation and if you have multiple sections in this, where when you're doing your presentation, and in a later part of it, we'll talk about the presentation mode, which, when you're doing the presentation, it will allow you to see all your slides and give you your notes when you're doing your presentation. The sections, however, will let you divide it out and also break it up into where you have segments of your presentation and you can group your slides together. Again, the section divider, the slide, as the name goes, is one slide which is inserted between sections. So you can have different groups. Say, for instance, if it was food, you're talking about fruits, vegetables, or you're talking about, let's say, casserole. I mean, if you want to break those up into different things, you can do that. And that's what the section divider will do. And you can add these, through the menus along when you're putting your presentation together. Very, very important stuff, though. But you can segment your presentation into groups or sections and put dividers in between them. And then you can add slides too. And again, slides, the individual units in the presentation. What you see right here on this particular, all this big old box is considered a slide. So again, the slides are the individual units in your presentation that you can fill with content. Pretty straightforward. You can choose these themes though as well. When you get in to open up the Microsoft PowerPoint, you can do that kind of stuff right away. I'm going to show you a live example real quick. So I'm going to switch screens real quick, and we'll go over here to the PowerPoint. Okay, so we've got PowerPoint, and we've got it where we can get in and see. Let's see, here we go. So on PowerPoint, you can then, when you get into when you first open this menu, you'll see this is the actual page you'll come up to. But when you go into the File menu, you'll see here up along the top here is some of those themes, okay? So you can, again, once you pick a theme, you can then style it to however you like. And they give you a few samples right here, but you can also add more. So they give you even drill down even more to see what will come with that. So you have that kind of stuff along there. And then we also have a bunch of these things that are real stylish, and you can choose between them. But the styles, again, are all right here, and you can do them all. So that's where that's where the themes come in. You can actually choose this when you do a new presentation. You can pick these out, and then from there you can then style it however you like. Wonderful, wonderful. So now, right now, we will go ahead and switch back to the presentation real quick. But that was choosing the themes, and you can also find that in the design menu too. Once you even get it, if you like the theme you start out with, you can then go in and make sure that you can choose this one, and if you don't like it, you can choose another one. It's very easy to do. In that design ribbon, you have multiple options like you saw, and you can add these all along the way. It's a good thing to see. This is, again, we're just trying to touch a little bit on that design tab, and you do have more options here if you don't like the theme that you picked originally. So now we're going to showcase a little bit more about those ribbons that we talked about. Now this part here is where you can then see how you can use the styling of it. You can add shapes and all different kinds of different colors. That's what these ribbons we're going to kind of take a look at now. So again, the ribbon, it contains a series of tabs that you can switch between. That what I'm talking about here is what you see where it's highlighted home. These are the different tabs that you see here. Each of these, again, have a unique set of tools to work with your presentation that will help you with your presentation in a different way. And when you switch between them, you'll then see new buttons and options to change your presentation. So again, on this sample, this is the home ribbon, which will have some of your basic stuff that you use all the time. Remember that in Microsoft Word, if you saw that series, you remember that the home tab is the most common ones that you'll see. Same principle here. Most common ones that you'll see in the home menu are the ones you'll probably use all the time. And then you have these other ribbons that you will change between to help enhance your presentation. So I talk about that home tab, and usually I'll stay on that home tab because I'm really using every tool that's there really I'll be using. But then you can, if you're adding a slide to add to another page like you see here below, you can then add it from this home tab and add it to your slideshow. But again, the home tab is the default for most users. You'll probably stick around here most of the time, but we'll venture out to a few other ones as well. Then you have the Insert tab. Now, this is another very popular one. And the Insert tab allows you, again, to, if you want to add more slides, you can. Again, the home one that also talks about how they're using it most commonly. But Insert actually is where this resides. You can add tables, you can add more pictures, even mention screenshots in here. If you wanted to take a screenshot from something and add it to your slide, you could do it very, very easily. And then your shapes, you could add shapes, you could add stars or boxes, you name it. All of those things you can find in here as far as in the Insert tab. When you're working with, you're adding content, that's where your Insert tab comes through, because you're going to, again, be able to pick between many different objects that will allow you to put together that presentation. And then you got the Views tab. Now, this is also another great one. And we will talk a little bit more, we'll dig deeper in the next lesson next week. And we will, again, we're going to be dealing with animations and transitions. But I'll also touch more also on the part about the views and what you can and how you can arrange that slideshow in many different ways. Because the views you will see in a lot of things. You may have noticed in this presentation that a lot of the content in here, and these presentations are made in PowerPoint. And then when I put them together, I put these into a PDF form so it makes it easier to read. But then you do have things like at the bottom here that you what they call in the slide master. And we'll talk a little bit more of that in the next section. But you can make things where they're all going to be congruent on every single page, and you'll always see it at the bottom. And then only things that are going to change up top are going to be the content that you see in the white section. So there's a lot of things that you can make stationed on every slide, or you can change it up every time in the slide in the big slide window that you see in the white section. So again, there's lots of different ways you can do this. But again, the Views tab does help you to see multiple angles of how to put together this presentation. And like I say, when you look at the Views tab, here's a couple little examples that you'll see here. And then they also have a notes section too. And you remember I mentioned earlier that whenever you do a presentation, you can use the presenter mode. Now that's also very helpful because when you make your notes in the presentation, you can then in presenter mode, you'll be able to see those notes that will allow you to share what is on that screen in kind of a short form. But it's important though that you can see all these views. And then you also have slide sorter, which is a very nice one. When you get to the animations and transitions, this becomes a very helpful tool because you can apply things to all slides, you can see it all together, and the slide sorter allows you to see everything that you've done up to that point. So very important to know that these views do come in handy in several different ways. And when you get ready to present, you'll want to be able to see everything in a bird's eye view and make sure everything looks perfect whenever you're ready to present. But the Views tab, that's just a sample of what we've seen before. An attractive presentation can really grab that, and we talked about that design phase. So an attractive presentation can really grab your audience's attention. And we use these themes and styles in PowerPoint to add that visual appeal to the presentation. And this helps you control that stuff as well. And again, we have the presentation, you have multiple different ways and multiple themes that you can pick from. And the design tab allows you to look at those options. Now let's look at the layouts overview. And again, layouts versus themes are a little bit different, but they work hand in hand too. You see in the layouts, this is just a sample, and we'll go into the live version in just a moment. But you'll look in here and see slide layouts. It allows you to format the slide. It allows you to position it into however you want it. And you can add the text, add more text boxes, or you can add more pictures. That's what you see right here. You'll eventually, this is where the placeholders come in. And this will give you an option to allow you to pick either of those options, whether it's going to be the pictures or you're going to add another box or a video. That's where those come in. And then you can move around on the slide however you like. So again, let's look at this real quick and let's go back in and let's look at that in the live view. Let me get back here. Okay. So now I'm going to select one right here. I'm going to go in and create it. It's downloading and now it's going to put it into a slide folder. Okay. So now we've got here, this is the title slide. I'm putting together my title. All right, so we got that. Now we're going to actually create a new slide. So you remember up here we have in this actual menu, we have the home menu, which has our most common things. We can then hit a new slide. Now you can see in here all of these different layouts. All right, so this is again where you can pick a layout and use it however you want. Okay, so now you can look at this and let's pick up a new layout. Let's just use the title and content. Okay, so now you can put this together and you can now have a new title and say about me. Oops, I could type about me. So you can do that. And if you remember in Word, you have all of the ways you can format the page on the home screen. If I wanted to go ahead and make this to the right, I could do that. If I wanted to bold it, I could do that as well. I have a lot of ways I can do that kind of stuff. So real important either way. Give me just a second here. Okay, so now we've got the title, and then we've also now got this placeholder down here. Now you'll see at the bottom that we now have a bunch of different options that we could choose from. Now I highlight over these because you can then, if you wanted to add something, you could. Now this bottom left picture may be a little hard to see, but if you can, it's right here. I think I can get a little bit bigger. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. Tempting, but it may not. Oh, there we go. Okay, this stays the same. Okay, but even so, you can then get on here and pick, if you want to choose a picture, you can hit this thing. It'll open up inserting a picture of any of your stuff. If you wanted to, you can then add another part of this. When it comes up, you can select from online pictures if you want to insert in there. If you wanted to insert a table, you could insert a table and you would be able to tell, okay, I want to have this many columns and this many rows. And once you determine that, it will insert that in there for you. So that's, again, how you can see the layouts really come in play, because you can then take this stuff and then you can manipulate the placeholders and put these things in place for you. And you can have more. It only gives you one on here, but you can give more if you want, and that's not a problem. And if you even insert a picture, it becomes a placeholder. So you can do it just the same way in the insert menu. And I could pick another picture in here, you know, and put that in there. Like I say, for instance, this YouTube. Whoop, let me go back a little bit here. There we go. So I can, you know, I can put these images in here too, and that'll also serve as a placeholder as well. But again, all of these things can be, you can change them around at any point. There's no, it's not, you're not going to lose anything. If you wanted to, you can add, if you wanted to have another one in here, you could do that. Then you could add another place. Or if you wanted to add text, you could add text in here as well. The text box feature is really nice because you can then add this and then just start typing away. Wonderful. So there, you can add that and you can move it around. You can add another, you could add another picture too. Let's see if I can pull it up. I think I've got my, here's my picture. I think I have one here. Where did it go? Oh, I have them here. Oh, there they are. So I can add a picture right here. See, I can line that up. I can book this. I can even put it above me and change the font name. Or font color, sorry. Just like that. So you can put things like that together. You can then, you can move it however you want. And again, this is just a sample. This not really need to be there, but if you wanted to add another image there, you could do that, and you can put a bio. I mean, think about the things you can do now. You can use these presentations to your advantage, and this will allow you to, whatever you want to add text, you want to add a picture, and then move it all across the slide, it'll allow you to do that. So you've got lots of options here, but that's what the placeholders, and in this layouts overview, you could add these things all together, which is really, really nice. Okay, so let me go back here, back to the presentation, and we'll see where we're at here. So now in the layouts overview, like I mentioned, you now, like we saw on that big one, you have areas in here where you'll be able to select all of this. Let me get my annotation where I can draw. So you're going to have all kinds of stuff in here where you select that inside there, whether it's a picture. All of these will have that little bubble that you just saw. And then you can choose a picture or a table, and you can start out by putting that. Again, you're not limited to just these three. So if you use all these three, you can use the insert picture, and you can add more if you want to. So that's again, there are lots of options here. But this gives you kind of a sample of how you want to put it together. And like I said, you select these, and then if you want more, just go up there and add through insert picture or text box, whatever. Those are fine. But when I put these arrows there, that's where these are the placeholders, and this is where you can add those images or text boxes to start out. And let's clear those. So that's, again, very, very important to note that these layouts are all different configurations. You can move them around however you want. You're not going to be like totally set on that, because you might want to move things around a little bit, and that's okay. But they at least give you a starting point, and that's why PowerPoint is very important to your presentations, and you can then take them, you can take that data, you can take it and move it around. You can also and then put some new styles to it. You can change the theme if you want. Those kind of things are very important, you know, in this beginning stages. But the layouts view, that's what happens here. That's just one set, and you can, again, if you wanted to make this, you can fill the circles if you wanted to with something else or with a picture. Move them into the white section if you wanted to. They don't necessarily have to be in the blue. But I mean, that's where those things come into play. But these layout views, like you saw, you can select any kind of configuration and add these in. Okay. Wow, we're already moving along. This is a quick summary because we're going to be next section. We're going to be on next week. We will be going through the animations and transitions, as well as also looking at some of those different views like the slide sorter. Because really, when you start getting this presentation together, it will then become where you're going to want to perfect this stuff too. And sometimes a presentation doesn't have to be tons of transitions and tons of animation. You may have seen other presentations before where you may have seen things slide in, or seen things coming up from the bottom of the slide. It doesn't have to be. If you want, I mean, you can get cute and get all of those together and make it fun. That's okay. But some people just want, if you just want to put the information on the slide and just have a very simple transition, that's okay too. If it just wants to slide in, you could do that too. But we're going to look at that some next week, though. We'll keep digging in and looking to see how all this comes to play. But the big picture today is that we discovered some of those themes and layouts. And if you remember about themes, is that style, however you want it. What you saw here on this right here is a style. We actually, in Grand Prairie, we actually have a style that's like this that we have set up. But again, in here, when we looked at the themes and layouts, like I say, let me look at it again. And let's see here. Let's go back. PowerPoint. So we looked at here and we saw that we had these themes. So we picked this integer pillars theme. So that was our theme for the presentation. And we've already got that there. So let me go back. But then we also have layouts. And then you can change, and up here is where I showed you the layouts in the presentation. Same principle here. You can do all different kinds of configurations. These are all preset, which you can then change it around at any point too. Or it's not set in stone. So if you wanted to add additional things to this, if you like the style, but then you like this layout and you want to do more, you can. There's nothing wrong with that. You can, again, insert pictures and stuff from the insert menu and also go forward with more content or more pictures. All of those are doable on any of these layouts. But that's the difference that we wanted to distinguish today, is that you can use those intertwinedly hand in hand, and we can again make different configurations and put different types of formats together. And then we showcase those ribbons. And again, the ribbons, like in Microsoft Word, the same principle applies. These are all different in one way, but they all work together too. And we saw that the design menu, the insert menu, and the home. And when you get to views, you can see the different ways you can look at the information too. That part makes it nice because if you're going into a little bit more detail, and you're wanting, and when it comes to the style of this presentation, that slide sorter view you get to see a bird's eye view, like 10,000 feet above, and see what all is there. And so you don't have to look at one slide at a time. You can look at it all in one big way. So again, those ribbons all come together. We're going to get to see that next week, working more and more hand in hand with how you animate it. You do transitions. I'm going to bring up a PowerPoint that we will use to kind of put together a few of these things together, so you can see the intertwines. There'll be a lot more live stuff next week, so we'll be able to see how you can put those animations in, put transitions. There's even timings. You can also put word art as well, and into your slides. It'll allow you to do lots of different ways. You can make it where you can make big letters, small letters, or you can just make things that stand out. So again, all of those are, again, where we'll get to look at all of those ribbons and add those transitions in timings and stuff next week. And then we looked at the final thing, which was layouts. You look at layouts, there's lots of different options there. You can then take those layouts and reconfigure them to however you want them to be. They give you a starting point, sometimes 2 to 3 different placeholders, but then you can add more after that. So again, nothing is set in stone. That's why PowerPoint is really nice, because you can then add to it or take away as much as you want. They give you some preset stuff, and then you go from there. But again, the quick overview of that is that you do have options, and you can then take those and add them to your slide or remove them and put something else in. So you're not stuck with one thing. You do have a lot of different options, and when it comes to layout. Okay, so we have now made it to the question and comment section. So if you do have any questions of sorts about this, about how we went through all of these different styles, the themes and layouts, as well as some of these ribbons, I'd love to hear your feedback at this time. And again, the floor is yours.